I discovered why my food tasted strange, and it ended my marriage. Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit Bit. What would you do if you discovered the person you trust most in the world, your spouse, had been secretly violating your boundaries in the most unimaginable way possible? And not just once, but every single day for months. Today's story follows Jessica, a hardworking veterinarian from Denver whose seemingly perfect marriage hid a disturbing secret. When her carefully prepared meals started tasting strange, she never imagined the horrifying truth she would uncover. From mysterious tastes in her breakfast to the moment that changed everything, Jessica's journey will make you question how well you really know the people closest to you. Stay with me for the next few minutes as we unpack this bizarre and heartbreaking story that will leave you wondering, what would you do if you were in her shoes? Let's dive in.
Hey, I'm Jessica. 6 months ago, my life in Denver seemed picture perfect. Successful veterinary practice, cute bungalow in the Highlands neighborhood, and Tyler, my husband of 5 years who I thought was the love of my life. That all changed when I started noticing something off about my food. I've always been super organized with meal prep. Comes with the territory when you're dealing with emergency surgeries and unpredictable vet schedules. Every Sunday, I'd prepare my overnight oats, protein-packed lunches, and cold brew coffee for the week. Tyler would tease me about my control freak tendencies, but it kept me sane during hectic workdays. Your meal prep game is stronger than my will to live, Maya would joke at the clinic as I unpacked my perfectly portioned lunch. But one Monday morning in October, I took a sip of my cold brew and nearly gagged. It had this weird, almost ammonia-like aftertaste. Not spoiled exactly, just wrong. I dumped it out, figuring maybe the beans had gone bad. Then it happened again with my overnight oats the next day. And my smoothie the day after that. Maybe our fridge is dying? I asked Tyler one evening while he was scrolling through Instagram. Everything tastes fine to me, he shrugged, barely looking up. Maybe it's just stress messing with your taste buds. You've been working crazy hours with that parvo outbreak. That made sense. The clinic had been slammed, and I'd been pulling extra shifts. Stress can definitely mess with your senses, but after 3 weeks of throwing out half my prep meals, I was getting frustrated and suspicious. It was always only MY food that tasted weird, never Tyler's leftovers or our shared groceries. I swear I'm not losing my mind, I told Maya during a rare quiet moment at the clinic. It's only my prep stuff, and it always has this weird, almost chemical taste. Maya put down the chart she was reviewing and gave me a serious look. Jessica, that sounds concerning. What if someone's tampering with your food? I laughed nervously. Who would do that? It's just me and Tyler at home. Her expression didn't change. Exactly. No way, I shook my head. We've been together for 8 years, married for 5. He wouldn't. Remember that case last year? The woman whose husband was slowly poisoning her with antifreeze in her tea? Nobody suspected him either. A chill ran down my spine. Would Tyler hurt me? We had a good marriage. Sure, our sex life had cooled a bit lately, and he'd been acting slightly distant. But that wasn't unusual after 5 years, was it? Then I remembered something from early in our relationship. Tyler had shared some of his sexual fantasies with me, including one that involved urination. I had firmly but kindly shut it down, and he never mentioned it again. I had completely forgotten about it until that moment. No, I whispered. He wouldn't. But the seed of doubt was planted. That night, I ordered a small wireless camera from Amazon with overnight delivery. I felt sick doing it, spying on my own husband, but I needed to know what was happening to my food. If it's nothing, I'll delete the footage and never tell anyone, I promised myself. But I need to know I'm not losing my mind. I set up the tiny camera on our kitchen shelf, angled perfectly to capture the inside of the fridge whenever the door opened. Then I prepared my usual weekly meals and went to bed with my heart pounding. The next morning, I left for an early surgery without checking the footage. I couldn't bear to watch it before going to work. What if I saw something that would shatter my world? I needed to be focused for my patients. All day at the clinic, I could barely concentrate. I nearly administered the wrong dosage of medication to a German Shepherd, something I'd never done in my entire career. You okay? Maya asked, catching my mistake. You seem distracted. Just tired, I lied. During my lunch break, I sat alone in my car, hands shaking as I pulled up the camera app on my phone. I fast-forwarded through hours of nothing until I saw movement at 1:38 a.m. Tyler, my husband of 5 years, opened the refrigerator door. He looked around furtively, then took out my container of overnight oats. He opened it, unzipped his pants, and I threw my phone down and vomited right there in the clinic parking lot. I called Maya to cover my afternoon appointments, something I'd never done before. I couldn't face my patients after what I'd just witnessed. The drive home was a blur. I don't even remember stopping at red lights or making turns. My mind was replaying that footage over and over. When I got home, I sat in my car for 20 minutes, trying to steady my breathing. Then I went inside, straight to our bedroom, and watched the rest of the footage. Not just from last night, but from the 2 nights before it. IT wasn't a one-time thing. Tyler had urinated in my smoothie bottle and my cold brew coffee too. Each time, he'd carefully put the cap back on, shaken it to mix it in, and placed it back exactly as he'd found it. I felt violated in a way I couldn't articulate. This wasn't just disgusting, it was a profound betrayal of trust. The man I shared a bed with, the man I had planned to have children with someday, had been secretly defiling my food for who knows how long. How long? I whispered to our empty bedroom. How long has he been doing this to me? I thought about all the meals I'd consumed before I noticed the taste. Had I been ingesting my husband's bodily fluids for weeks? Months? Years? The thought made me dry heave. Tyler wouldn't be home for hours. He had a brewery event, followed by dinner with clients, a regular Thursday routine. I had time to think, to plan my response, but rational thought was beyond me. I moved through our house like a tornado. First, I went to his precious craft beer collection, the rare bottles he'd spent thousands on, the limited editions he'd waited in line for. I didn't just pour them out. I smashed each bottle against the kitchen sink. In the living room, I took his signed Broncos jersey, a prized possession he'd gotten as a birthday gift, and cut it to shreds. I moved to his closet next, pulling out his expensive work clothes and throwing them into the yard, where it had started to snow. When I got to his gaming setup, something stopped me. Not mercy, but the realization that destroying things wouldn't undo what he'd done. It wouldn't cleanse me of the violation I'd experienced. Instead, I sat down and recorded everything I'd discovered on my phone, saving multiple copies of the footage to different cloud accounts. Then I packed a bag with essentials and called Maya. Can I stay with you for a while? My voice sounded hollow, even to myself. Jessica? What's wrong? You sound terrible. I'll explain when I get there. I can't be here when Tyler gets home. Of course, honey. Stay as long as you need. I was about to leave when I heard his key in the door. He was home early. Tyler walked in, his face lighting up when he saw me. Hey, I thought you were at the clinic all day. This is a nice surprise. He stopped when he saw my packed bag. Then his eyes traveled to the shattered beer bottles, the shredded jersey on the floor. What the hell, Jessica? What happened? Did someone break in? I couldn't believe he could stand there, looking confused and innocent. I held up my phone, showing the paused video of him at the refrigerator. You want to explain this? His face drained of color. He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. I can explain. Explain what? My voice was eerily calm. Explain how you've been pissing in my food for months? How you've been making me consume your bodily fluids without my knowledge or consent. It's not what you think, then what is it? I screamed, my composure finally breaking. Because it looks like my husband, who I trusted completely, has been violating me in one of the most disgusting ways possible. Tyler sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. It's my thing, okay? You know that. I told you years ago. Your thing? Your thing? This isn't a fetish, Tyler. This is assault. You wouldn't let me do it the normal way, he mumbled. I thought this was a compromise. I stared at him, incredulous. A compromise? A compromise? Doing something to me without my knowledge or consent isn't a compromise, it's a crime. I didn't think it would hurt you, he said, looking up with tears in his eyes. And it didn't, right? You never got sick. That's when I truly understood how broken our relationship was. He genuinely couldn't see how profoundly he had violated me. In his mind, as long as there was no physical harm, there was no real damage. "I'm leaving," I said, picking up my bag. "Don't try to contact me. Jessica, please." He jumped up, grabbing my arm. "We can work through this. I'll get therapy. We can put cameras everywhere if that makes you feel better. I'll never do it again, I swear." I yanked my arm away. "Don't touch me. Ever again." We took vows. He shouted as I walked to the door. "For better or worse, remember? You can't throw away 5 years of marriage over one mistake." I turned back one last time. "This wasn't a mistake, Tyler. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary or saying something thoughtless when you're angry. This was a deliberate violation of my trust, my body, and my dignity. Every single day for months." As I walked out the door, he called after me. "Where are you going to go? This is your home." "Not anymore," I said, and closed the door behind me. Maya's apartment became my sanctuary. She lived in a cozy 2-bedroom in Capitol Hill and thankfully had a guest room where I could crash. During that time, Tyler bombarded me with texts, calls, emails, and even handwritten letters delivered to the clinic. They ranged from desperate apologies to angry accusations that I was overreacting and destroying our marriage over one little thing. His brother Keith even called me, saying I needed to come home and work things out. "Marriage is about forgiveness," he said. "Everyone makes mistakes." I hung up without responding to Maya's suggestion. I made an appointment with Dr. Reeves, a therapist who specialized in trauma and betrayal. She helped me understand that what I was feeling, the violation, the disgust, the sense that my body wasn't my own, was completely normal given what had happened. "What Tyler did was a form of sexual assault," she explained. "He involved you in his sexual gratification without your consent. That's a profound violation of trust and bodily autonomy. But part of me keeps wondering if I'm overreacting," I admitted. "We had a good marriage in so many ways. Would you tell one of your patient's owners that she was overreacting if her husband did this to her?" The question hit me hard. No. I'd tell her to run and never look back. "Then why do you deserve any less?" After 3 weeks, I finally met with Olivia Chin, an attorney who specialized in family law. I showed her the video evidence, and she didn't flinch, though her eyes hardened. "You have grounds for divorce based on cruel treatment," she explained. "The video evidence is compelling. However, you should know that using it could potentially open up other legal avenues." "What do you mean?" "What your husband did could potentially be prosecuted as assault, food tampering, or even sexual assault. If you choose to pursue criminal charges, that's separate from the divorce proceedings." The thought of a criminal trial made my stomach turn. Did I want Tyler to go to jail? Did I want this humiliating violation to become public record? Could I handle testifying about this in court? "I just want to be free of him," I said finally. "I want a divorce and a clean break." Olivia nodded. "Then we'll focus on that. But keep the evidence secure. You may change your mind, and it gives us leverage in the divorce negotiations." As I left her office, my phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. "I've started therapy. The therapist says we should do couples counseling. Please, Jessica, we can fix this." I showed the text to Olivia. "Typical," she said. "He's trying to normalize what he did by framing it as a relationship problem rather than his violation. You don't need couples counseling for this. He needs serious individual therapy, and you need space." 1 month after discovering Tyler's betrayal, I found a small apartment of my own. Maya helped me move in, and we celebrated with pizza and wine on my new IKEA furniture. "To new beginnings," she toasted. "And to finding out who your real friends are," I added, clinking my glass against hers. That night, after Maya left, I sat alone in my new space and finally let myself cry, really cry, for the first time since everything happened. I cried for the marriage I thought I had, for the future I'd planned, for the trust that had been shattered. But they weren't just tears of grief. They were also tears of relief. I was free. I was safe. My food was my own again. The divorce proceedings would take time. Tyler was now contesting it, claiming that I had abandoned the marriage without attempting reconciliation. His lawyer argued that his behavior, while admittedly inappropriate, didn't constitute cruelty under Colorado law, but I had the evidence, and more importantly, I had my resolve. I wouldn't be going back, no matter how much therapy he underwent or how many apologies he offered 0.3 months after the discovery. I ran into Tyler at a grocery store. He looked thinner, with dark circles under his eyes. For a moment, I felt a pang of something not love or forgiveness, but a strange sadness for the man I thought I knew. "Jessica," he said, his voice cracking. "You look good." "Thanks," I replied, already turning my cart to go down a different aisle. "I'm still in therapy," he called after me. "I'm getting better." I understand now why what I did was wrong. I paused, then turned back. "I'm glad you're getting help, Tyler." I really am. But understanding why it was wrong doesn't undo what you did. "Will you ever forgive me?" he asked, his eyes pleading. I considered the question carefully. "Maybe someday I'll forgive you for my own peace of mind. But I'll never trust you again. And without trust, there's no relationship worth having." As I walked away, I felt lighter somehow. The future stretched before me, uncertain but full of possibility. I had survived one of the most bizarre and disturbing betrayals imaginable, and I was still standing. That night, I prepared my overnight oats for the next morning, sealed the jar, and placed it in my refrigerator. And for the first time in months, I knew without a doubt that when I ate it, it would be exactly what I had prepared. Nothing more, nothing less. Sometimes, that simple certainty is the most precious thing in the world.
Jessica's story is a stark reminder of the complexities hidden within relationships and the unexpected ways trust can be shattered. Through her courageous journey, we've seen the power of truth, the pain of betrayal, and the resilience needed to rebuild one's life. From the initial suspicion to the horrifying discovery, and finally the emotional confrontation, every moment of this tale has taught us invaluable lessons. Trust is the cornerstone of any relationship, and once broken, it can be painstakingly difficult to restore. What would you do in Jessica's situation? Could you forgive, or would you walk away to protect your own well-being? Let us know in the comments below. Your insights could offer guidance to others facing similar dilemmas. Jessica's experience underscores the importance of listening to our instincts and setting clear boundaries. It's a testament to the fact that sometimes, choosing ourselves and our peace is the bravest decision we can make. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on more incredible stories. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.